Dude, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Today we're going to be tier ranking every single WWE Premium Live event in Saudi Arabia. WWE struck a deal for billions of dollars a few years ago with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to put on several premium live events throughout the next decade. And many of these premium live events feel like gigantic open-air stadium shows like a WrestleMania. They have match cards that on paper rival WrestleManias. They have productions and stage settings that rival WrestleMania as well, and in some cases feel bigger and more grandiose than WrestleMania. And yet for some reason, most events out of Saudi Arabia fucking suck. Saudi Arabian shows are like an alternate canon universe in WWE where the most bananas things happen over there. I like to think of it as like filler arc in anime where like you can continue to watch the rest of WWE programming. You can miss the Saudi shows and you wouldn't be missing anything. However, that was the case in the early years of Saudi shows, but now major events always tend to happen at Saudi event shows. And some of these decisions have been arguably some of the worst booking decisions in WWE history. Saudi shows have gotten much better in recent memory, but my goodness, some of the dumbest, most atrocious booking decisions have happened at Saudi shows. So today, I'm going to be tier ranking every single Saudi Premium Live event from Hall of Fame all the way down to trash. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident that you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. Right now, I'm currently in Las Vegas, probably being held up by a couple of loan sharks because I've lost a tremendous amount of money at a Las Vegas casino. And even then, we're still uploading daily wrestling content because we don't miss days here, baby. All right, folks, so here are the tiers that we're going to be using. We have Hall of Fame, Great, Good, Meh, and Trash. All in all, as of the making of this video, there are 9 premium live events to have taken place in Saudi Arabia. I am recording this a few weeks before Crown Jewel 2023. All right, let's start off with the one that started it all, the Greatest Royal Rumble. Now, the Greatest Royal Rumble is, of course, known for the 50-man over-the-top Royal Rumble. And this is, for a while, WWE treated that Royal Rumble as actual Royal Rumble canon, where they included the winner and the records that happened in that Greatest Royal Rumble alongside the records that were held by WWE superstars in regular Royal Rumbles. However, this event didn't just have a Royal Rumble, it had 9 other matches, and I would say that the main marquee match on this card would have been John Cena versus Triple H, which is of course a dream match in any regard, but at this point, Triple H is well past his dream match years. For me, the highlight of this show was Seth Rollins defeating The Miz, Finn Balor, and Samoa Joe in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. A major disappointment on this show was AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. It ended in a double countout. These guys just could never get their chemistry down in the WWE, unfortunately. But yeah, the main reason for this show was the 1 hour and 17-minute Royal Rumble match. A Royal Rumble match with no stakes. It was just 50 dudes having a Royal Rumble match for nothing. Like, they were literally competing for nothing. Well, I guess they were competing for this like replica green Saudi Arabian Greatest Royal Rumble Championship belt, but that was basically just a souvenir because they never introduced that belt into anything ever again. I guess the highlights of this Royal Rumble were Daniel Bryan setting a record for the amount of time spent in a Royal Rumble, and they claimed that to be the record for a very long time, and now they just casually throw that under the rug now that he's no longer part of the WWE. We also had Titus World Slide, which was probably the best thing out of this entire Premium Live event, where Titus O'Neil ran down to the ring, slipped, fell, and slid under the ring. Yeah, anyways, the Royal Rumble was won by Braun Strowman. It was inconsequential. This was one of those Saudi Premium Live events where if you missed it, you could continue watching the next episode of Raw as if you missed nothing. It felt felt like an inconsequential show, and I was okay with that because major things didn't happen here. Like, there were no major title changes, there was nothing of consequence that was won. It was just a really awesome, highly produced house show. And because of that, I'll put the Greatest Royal Rumble in good. It was a fun showcase of WWE's roster in front of a brand new crowd in a giant stadium with crazy production value, and it didn't really impact the WWE in any really negative way. So yeah, I'll put it in good. The next event is, oh fuck me, Crown Jewel 2018. This is it. This is the one that made everyone go, oh sweet brother in Christ. Why? Why are they doing this? Why are they bringing these decrepit old men out of retirement to have matches in front of a giant crowd in a giant stadium? So this is the show where they famously brought out D-Generation X, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels, as well as the Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker and Kane, out of retirement to have one of the most mind-bendingly terrible fucking matches I've ever seen in my life. A match that went on for 27 minutes, by the way. And like, obviously, we love all four of those guys. Like, those guys are legends, but they are so well past their prime. Shawn Michaels hadn't had a match in about 12 years, and they bring him out for this. Like, they break Shawn Michaels' retirement to bring him out for this, a match that many WWE fans consider the worst match of the decade. So that was definitely like the main aspect of this show, the Brothers of Destruction versus DX. The other main aspect of the show was the WWE World Cup that was going on during this time, which was, you know, a cool little tournament, kind of like a King of the Ring. Like, I had nothing against the WWE World Cup. Like, to me, the idea of it was a thumbs up, just a cool way to get people match time in front of that Saudi audience. I think that's a great idea. I mean, it was a great idea until they decided to make Shane McMahon the greatest in the world, the World Cup champion. Mind-bendingly terrible decisions were made in this show. This show belongs somewhere deeper down than trash, but today we're going to put it in trash. But if I could put this in the Earth's crust to never ever see the light of day, that's where I'd put it. It can't get worse, right? It can't. Oh, but it can. Because folks, next we have Super ShowDown 2019. This was a show that was main evented by The Undertaker versus Goldberg in what would arguably go down, again, as one of the worst matches of the entire decade. Undertaker, I love you, but well past his prime, and unfortunately Goldberg would suffer a concussion at the very beginning of the match, leading to one of the most painfully dragged out slogfests I've ever seen. This is just an uncomfortable rewatch. And because Goldberg was dazed because of that concussion, he botched a ton of moves. He botched a jackhammer that could have arguably broken Undertaker's neck had it just gone slightly even more wrong. You know, I'm just happy that they both made it out of that match without either of them needing a real Undertaker. But hey, aside from that, there was a 51-man battle royal because 51. Everything's bigger in Saudi. Why not? That was won by Mansoor, who I really like Mansoor, and I'm glad that he got that moment in front of a home crowd. There was also Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler for the WWE Championship in a pretty decent 10-minute bout. And then we also had a rematch of Randy Orton versus Triple H. Again, a Triple H that was well past his prime. You see, the Saudi government loved WWE legends. They were stuck still in the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era. Dude, the organizers of these shows were so focused on bringing people from the 80s and 90s that they actually requested for the Ultimate Warrior to appear on this show. The Ultimate Warrior had been dead for 4 years at this point. And I think this is part of what caused a lot of problems in these early Saudi shows. I think that they were heavily influenced by what the Saudi government was requesting, as opposed to just letting WWE do their thing, which is booking wrestling shows. Super Showdown goes into the trash category right alongside that clusterfuck that was that year's Crown Jewel. Next up, we have Crown Jewel 2019, which, again, spoiler alert, sucks. So this is a very frustrating show for wrestling fans because unlike the previous Saudi shows, the WWE made major decisions on regular WWE television shows like SmackDown and Raw to set up the show. The biggest one, bar none, being having Kofi Kingston lose his WWE Championship in 8 seconds to Brock Lesnar. And all of that was just to set up Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez for the WWE Championship. Cain Velasquez had never had a match in the WWE before. He was a UFC star that had beaten Brock Lesnar, so there was history there, but he never had a match in the WWE. So it made no sense as to why they would have him be the one to go up against Brock Lesnar instead of having a rematch between Brock Lesnar and Kofi Kingston. It was a giant slap in the face to Kofi Kingston's entire beautiful and magical WWE Championship run. And hey, maybe Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez would go on to have a 20-minute absolute classic. Just kidding. It was a 2-minute squash match that Brock Lesnar would go on to win. Like, why would they do this? And Cain Velasquez wasn't the only combat sports athlete to cross over into this show, because we also had World Heavyweight Championship boxer Tyson Fury defeat Braun Strowman in a singles match via countout. And yes, this also fucking sucked. But hey, at least The Fiend versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal Championship was okay. And I think the highlight of this entire show was that this was the first show where the Saudi government allowed WWE female superstars to have a match on the card. Prior to this show, women were not allowed to wrestle in front of that Saudi audience. And Natalya versus Lacey Evans, you know, not quite the classic that we're looking for, but it is a trailblazing match. So I guess it gets a W for that, but this show, guess what, also was complete booty. It goes into trash. The booking decisions can't get worse now, right? Like that's the worst that it could have possibly been. We've put it behind us, right? No, it's about to get even worse. Because now we're looking at Super Showdown 2020, which took place on February 27th, 2020, like 3 weeks before the world imploded because of the pandemic. And honestly, this is gonna get me canceled. I wish the pandemic had happened 3 weeks earlier so that this show would have been canceled. Because my God, what a fucking atrocious show this was. So both the Universal Championship and the WWE Championship were up for grabs on this show. And between both matches, can you guess how long the match time was? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Try 4 minutes between the WWE Championship match and the Universal Championship match. Because the WWE Championship match was Brock Lesnar versus Ricochet in a squash match that took 1:35. That's right, they paid Brock Lesnar probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to take a flight to Saudi Arabia, do an F5, do a quick little suplex city, and then go home. And I thought that was gonna be the worst booking decision of the night, and then they went and just topped themselves by having Goldberg defeat The Fiend, one of the coolest characters in WWE history, a character that was refreshing, a character that was universally beloved by fans, and he had him lose. They had him lose to Goldberg in 3 minutes. I don't understand this. The worst things happen at these Saudi shows, but hey, at least Mansoor beat Dolph Ziggler. This goes into the trash category. Next up, we have Crown Jewel 2021, and this show was pretty good. Granted, I think the main event was actually rather weak. Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship. It just felt like a really drawn out, very slow match. I think it's probably their worst match in my opinion. They would definitely go on to have much better matches, but this was also a match that we'd seen numerous times up to this point. So I think a lot of us had kind of just lost interest. But hey, I hope you didn't lose too much interest, because they would go on to have like 5 more matches after this. But dude, listen to this. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks for the SmackDown Women's Championship was a delightful 20-minute triple threat match. It was really good. Big E versus Drew McIntyre was a solid match for the WWE Championship. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley in a no-holds-barred false count anywhere match was actually pretty good, and that's exactly how you should be using Goldberg. And we even had Edge versus Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match. Overall, like, this show's actually, like, pretty good. I'm gonna have Crown Jewel 2021, shockingly, into the great category. Next up, we have Elimination Chamber 2022, a show that was very run-of-the-mill. Nothing terrible, but nothing really that great either. This show had matches like Goldberg versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship. It was 6 minutes, sure, but you know, it was a fine Goldberg match as far as I'm concerned. The Women's Elimination Chamber match was solid as well, with Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Doudrop, Liv Morgan, Nikki S.H., and Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch versus Lita was a fine match for the Raw Women's Championship, but not really anything that's gonna blow my mind, but it's pretty cool to have seen Lita back. And like, here's the thing, the men's Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship was actually a really good match with a bizarre decision at the end, because Bobby Lashley would go in as the champion, but would get hurt before the match even started. So he wasn't even in the match. So it guaranteed that we'd have a new champion, and Brock Lesnar would go on to not just beat, but absolutely obliterate and kill everyone else, including AJ Styles, Austin Theory, who got F5 from the top of the pod, Riddle, and Seth Rollins. It's just weird to see the WWE basically feed the entire men's main event scene to Brock Lesnar for no reason. Only for Brock Lesnar to drop the title basically immediately to Bobby Lashley at that year's Royal Rumble. It was weird. It was weird. But I guess it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't great either. It wasn't bad. I'll put this in good. Now from here, the 2 Saudi shows that are left are Saudi shows that were booked by Triple H. And both of these remaining shows are quite a delight, actually. First, we have Crown Jewel 2022 that was headlined by what everybody thought was the dumbest decision of all time, Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. A match that was basically laughed out of the room when it was announced, but a match that ended up being in contention for Match of the Year, in contention for one of Roman Reigns' best match at a premium live event. This match, bar none, was Logan Paul's coming out party. This is where we all learn this kid's fucking got it, and he is just amazing. Look, I'm a simple man to please. I really enjoyed that match. To me, it was a 5-star match. It was overbooked at the end with the Usos and Jake Paul coming out, but it was the right level of overbooked. I had a ton of fun with this match. That match was like 50 thumbs up for me. Bianca Belair versus Bayley in the Last Woman Standing match was also great. However, it highlights all of the reasons that I hate Last Man Standing matches, in that Bayley hit Bianca Belair with everything, and Bianca kept getting up, and then Bianca hits Bayley with one move, and that's it. It's over. It was cool to see Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross, Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Like, overall, like, the card was actually like very, very solid, but to me, it was all about that great main event. Again, still not good enough to get into the Hall of Fame tier, but I think overall Crown Jewel 2022 goes into the great category for me. And last on this list is the most recent Saudi show as of the making of this video, which was Night of Champions 2023, a show that is legitimately going to go down in history as one of the most important WWE shows in recent memory, because a lot of major things happened on this show. The first one being the crowning of the brand new World Heavyweight Champion, as Seth Rollins would go on to beat AJ Styles in a solid match. This was also the match where we can pinpoint the death of the bloodline. This is when Jimmy and Jey Uso turned on Roman Reigns and helped Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens retain their undisputed tag titles against Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. It was a monumental moment in one of the biggest storylines in WWE history. But the show also, from head to toe, was just solid. Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch was a pretty decent singles match. Gunther versus Mustafa Ali was way too short. It could have been twice as long, and it would have been, oh my, dude, the 9 minutes that we had Gunther versus Mustafa Ali were 9 magical minutes. I wish they had gone for 20. We got a new women's champion in Asuka defeating the undefeatable Bianca Bel Air. And we had another marquee match in Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Like overall, like this card was stacked, it was solid, and the booking was pretty darn spot on. Night of Champions 2023 is the saving grace of the Saudi premium live events because it is the only show that they've put on that, in my opinion, belongs into the Hall of Fame tier. That's it. God, this was a painful video. God, terrible memories. All right, I'm done. Get out of here.